And he required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark in their right hand or on their forehead. And no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 and 17 in the NLT. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Haran coming back at you with another lesson, Lord willing to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and once again, going on and hammering on the topic of the next major prophecy, all right, which is yet to befall mankind. And I have an article here which dates all the way back into 2012. All right, and we're going to go through it real quick just to show you that we're much, much closer now than we've ever been before, all right, to the mandatory implementation of the MOTB, all right, which is known as the mark of the beast. All right, now we understand that, there's going to be various things that's going to lead to this MOTB because they can't just spring it upon the people. All right, they have to gradually, all right, bring people into this new beast system, as John the Revelator actually witnessed, all right, in this vision that he wrote about, which we just read. Okay, so we saw back in 2020 the heavy push for everything being digitalized. All right, we had something known as health passports, and so on and so forth, which they created passport apps and that kind of thing, right? But the next thing that's going to happen is that they're going to move with the next so-called major epidemic that's yet to hit the entire earth, as is written, as Yahweh Shai mentioned in Matthew the 24th chapter about pestilences. Okay, we're going to see the earth be hit with a huge, not only attack, cyber attack, or whatever you want to call it, but the health of mankind is going to be, attacked. Okay, and through that attack, all right, they're going to move from health passport apps to a more convenient RFID microchip implant. Okay, and that's going to allow them to have, constant 24/7, monitoring of health, of movements, right? Contacts, they had contact tracing, and ultimately digital payments. Okay, and with those C-hips, all human privacy, will completely cease. Okay. And of course, initially, they're going to bring it out like in a voluntary way, as you've seen lately. I'll say about the last couple of days, there's been a lot of videos going around with people, making it seem like it's a cool thing to get that C-hip in their hand. Somebody got the kit called. He got it from dangerous things or something like that. And he was showing how he got the C-hip in his hand, and he's excited to see what kind of new things that he's going to be able to do with this thing, right? So that's part of, using social media, and using these so-called influencers to push this thing as a new technology, the new age technology that's so cool that everybody should go get. Okay, so initially, they're starting off with it being, voluntary. But once it becomes normalized to a degree, right, it will become mandatory, and then ultimately it's going to be with the penalty of death, for anyone who doesn't comply. All right. In other words, those who don't worship, all right, the beast. Okay. But again, this has been something that's been in the works for a very, very long time. And as recent as 2012, an article was brought out regarding the U.S. military seeking to implant microchips in the soldiers. Okay, and we're going to read a little bit about this article real fast. We're not going to make this too long. We're going to close it out with that. Okay, it says the U.S. government is developing implantable sensor C-hips for use in American troops, supposedly to monitor their health on the battlefield. The Defense Advanced Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, which is known as DARPA, announced earlier this year seeking proposals. But critics of the scheme are speaking out, warning that the new technology could be just a prelude to expanding the use of related devices among the general population, with dangerous implications for freedom and privacy. And that's what I just said, all right, a few minutes ago. Okay, and this is something that we see. Okay, Amos 3:7 tells us that the Lord will surely do nothing, but he revealed his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. And that's because he wants us to give the warning pertaining to Ezekiel 3:17, to give the warning before it happens. Hence, you have the word prophesy. Okay, again, the Bible talks about all these things that's happening, but people just don't see it. They look at the Bible as, some type of fairy tale book or whatever the case may be. But remember, the Bible is filled with history and it's filled with prophecy. Okay, and prophecy, the term prophecy pretty much explains your lifetime events that's yet to come. Okay, and the most important lifetime event that will befall the entire earth is the hour of temptation, when this MOTB is finally brought into the public, all right, as a means of life. If you don't take it, you can't live. Okay, and it's going to be a desperate time, and we're inching closer and closer to this day, and it's happening very fast. All right, I'll read a few articles, headline articles as well at the end of this article, just to show you that every step that they're taking, all right, is leading to this thing becoming a reality. All right, and we don't have much time, and they know that. All right, you have April 8th coming up, which we're looking at as a very significant day in terms of signs of the end times. Okay, so of course, these people on the left-hand side who have power over the earth are going to, do certain things, all right, to be able to push further the agenda of global total control. All right, so we'll see. All right, so going back to the article, it says, according to news reports about the development, DARPA believes that being able to instantly receive updates about any potential medical problems among soldiers would give the U.S. Armed Forces an advantage over adversaries, calling the implants, quote, a truly disruptive innovation, end quote. The agency said the nanotechnology could revolutionize war, especially because most medical evacuations are a result of illness or disease rather than injury sustained in battle. Okay, so again, like I said, it's going to be brought through many different avenues, but mostly through health and your ability to buy and sell. Okay, it says, but despite supposedly not being used for tracking purposes, at least initially, privacy experts concerned about the expanding use of such technology are sounding the alarm. It's always an incremental step, right? It's always in incremental steps, right? And that's known as what? Creep or mission creep, otherwise known as the boiling frog method. Okay, otherwise known as the I just forgot it. The boiling frog method and gradualism. That's the word. Okay, accelerated gradualism, because they know it that they had but a short time. All right. So it says it's always in incremental steps. Noted activist Catherine Albright, author of the book Spy Chips, about the threat of rapidly increasing use of radio frequency identification, CHIPs. Okay, and I plan on getting that book so I could read a little bit about it and see what she's bringing out. All right, I think she passed away not too long ago, but she was out there pushing heavy about the dangers of this MOTB becoming a reality. All right, it says, according to Albright, the use of injectable microchip that do not necessarily track people could eventually lead to calls for systems that do. And while she does not expect the government to ever force Americans to accept the CHIP at gunpoint, the gradual process of expanding the whole system should be halted now, before it is too late. Well, it can't be halted because it's biblical prophecy. It has to happen. It's just the Most High's test. All right. It says captive audiences like soldiers and prisoners, right? Remember, causeth all, both small and great, free and bond, right? Captive audiences like soldiers and prisoners, she told WorldNet Daily, are merely a stepping stone to broader use. Okay? The proposed DARPA system would work by pumping unimaginably small nanosensors into the human body to monitor stress levels, inflammation, diseases, nutrition, and more. In addition to feeding doctors real-time information on the physiological state of individual U.S. troops, DARPA hopes to further develop the technology so that it could actually work to treat the problems from within. The agency expects to begin working on the treatment aspect of the program in late 2012. Okay, and we're now in 2024. So that should tell you how far they've gone, with this technology and how close we are for them to actually bring this out into the mainstream public. Okay, you can see around you a lot of these, a lot of the direction in which America and the rest of the world is going in is leading to this. Right? They're creating a system, the beast system, as we speak. Okay, you go to these Whole Food stores, right? They have this contactless payment system already set up, and it's not going anywhere. Okay, so very soon, it's gonna be the same thing you're gonna be seeing at your gas stations, right? You're gonna be seeing at restaurants, grocery stores is already here, shopping malls. Right? Any business, government buildings, whatever you name it, they're all going to have these contactless, entry points and so on and so forth. Right? Even some shopping malls, when you go into them, the bathroom, it shows you wave your hand and then the door opens up for you. Right? So what does that tell you about that kind of technology? It's already here. Okay, but they just have to create a problem, all right, so that they can have a solution, which is going to be the CHIP. Okay, because remember, the true action is in the reaction. Okay, the true action is always in the reaction. That's why they never let a good crisis go to waste. Okay, it says the military runs on the strength of its soldiers, and this latest innovation holds promise to bolster the U.S. Armed Forces by decreasing preventable illnesses and keeping its men and women at the peak of their health, claimed Kate Nibbs in an article touting the implants for Mobildia, a technology-focused news outlet that was among the first to break the story. While the safety of the system remains unclear, the agency is reportedly seeking help from the private sector and academia to develop the biosensors and study their potential applications. If tests show initial success in animal trials, American troops, especially special forces, could be next in line for the implants. Okay, now there's a psychological thing that this whole thing is being done for, and that's if you're a troop, right? If you were a part of the troops or whatever the case may be, right? And you go through this form of dehumanizing experiment, you are pretty much, you're not the same anymore. Just like how the Vanessa changed a lot of people. And prior to the Vanessa coming out, we told people that during the trial test that they were doing, you had people saying that they couldn't feel their soul anymore, right? Somebody said that she can't feel God doesn't exist, and so on and so forth. So these experiments, knowing what they are and what is written of in the book of Revelation, in the Bible, okay, it does something to you spiritually as well. Okay, it changes you. So if these troops have this device implanted in their bodies, understand that they don't think the same as they were prior to them taking it. Okay, so clearly they're going to treat other people who don't take it as the enemy because they've been programmed to think so. Just like how those who took the Vanessa shot, they looked at everybody else as the enemy, as in we're stupid, we're crazy, whatever the case may be. But now, look, everything is so-called back to normal. Okay, but there's something that happens psychologically and spiritually that affects people that they can't function like those like us anymore, I guess, right? And this whole thing is to target something known as the VMAT2 gene. They have to eliminate the VMAT2 gene, which is your God gene. All right, I believe it's called the vesicular monoamine transporter gene 2. Okay, and that gene is what connects you to the Most High. All right, it's known as the sixth sense. Right, it gives you visions and your intuition and so on and so forth. Basically, tapping into the spiritual realm. Okay, they want to eliminate that, and quite frankly, the Vanessa did a pretty good job with that. Okay, that's why since 2020, 2021, you've seen a lot of satanic activity happen, especially here in America. I mean, out in the open. You get all kind. People are just bugging the hell out, and that's because there's something that's been taken out of their spirit. Okay, and it's getting them geared to be destroyed. All right. It says, for military special forces, the practical realization of implantable nanosensors capable of monitoring multiple indicators of physiological state could be a truly disruptive innovation, DARPA said in its announcement of the scheme. And apparently, there are already several government-funded efforts to create such systems, albeit not quite as futuristic, that have been at least somewhat successful. One of the emerging technologies highlighted in press accounts about the implants is a tiny robotic device being developed at Stanford University that can be injected directly into the human bloodstream. The wirelessly controlled robot, small enough to go through veins, is reportedly able to perform tasks ranging from medical diagnostics to direct drug delivery. Again, this is back in 2012. All right, so we're in 2024. That's about 12 years removed. So that should tell you something, right? It says such devices could revolutionize medical technology. Aha. See? So they're going to bring it through the health. All right? The high psi stigma. Okay? It says Stanford electrical engineer Ada Poon, who led the project, was quoted as saying in news reports, says, quote, applications include everything from diagnostics to minimally invasive surgeries, end quote. The tiny medical robots, however, are still a work in progress. Numerous technology commentators expressed alarm over the potential slippery slope involved in rolling out the system, but perhaps senior officials could lead the way to assuage those fears. Of course, quote, of course, as Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States will be the first military man to submit to the new nanochips, end quote, wrote Stephen Alexander on the blog Technority, presumably sarcastically. Quote, as should all the cabinet leaders and congressional leaders that are next in line for the presidency of the United States, end quote. In 2010, DARPA was also working on brain implants that would use light pulses to control brain cells and possibly even reroute or reorganize mental activity. While that system, too, was supposed to be for U.S. troops, particularly those who suffer from traumatic brain injuries, analysts warned that the implications of the technology were frightening. We see that today. I mean, I believe there's already somebody on this earth who has the brain implant by Neuralink, and he's last time I checked, they said he's playing video games with that shit in his head. All right, so we're already here. All right. It says around the world, hundreds or possibly even thousands of humans have already received implantable microchips for various reasons. All right, Sweden comes to mind. Okay, it says pets and animals across America and much of the developed world have as well, and that's all part of the causing all. Okay, remember their end goal is to have complete control over all things on the planet Earth. Okay, so the trees are going to have these sensors in them, right? And they're all going to have unique ID codes, okay, ID numbers. So if you pass by a tree, it could sense you. It could pick up your sensor if you got the C-hip, and it could relay your GPS location back to so-called authorities, and they know exactly where you're at. Okay. It says, meanwhile, governments and mega banks are increasingly seeking to phase out paper currency in favor of digital options like the so-called mint chip being developed by the Royal Canadian Mint. Of course, resistance to these types of controversial schemes are growing too, but with powerful interests pushing to expand the use of implantable nanotechnology in humans, analysts expect the battle between privacy activists and the establishment to become increasingly fierce in the coming years. All right, and that's where you have the war on information. Okay, everything is a war to these devils. All right, because they're the devils that the Bible speaks of. So any form of truth that comes out to them is going to be deemed as hate. Hence, they have to fight it via calling it war. Okay, so now we're at the time where there's something known as war on truth. Okay, and let me get this last precept here, and then we're going to close it out. I think I wanted to actually read a few of these. I'll get to it. Give me 1 second here. Let's get this real quick. There's a book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." Okay, so a lot of people look at these things and they bat an eye, and nobody pays attention to it. All right, but those of us who are in the know, we definitely pay very close attention to these things that's going on around the world. All right, so that we don't get taken by the events that happens, so these things don't come to us as a surprise. Okay, but here's a few titles of articles here going on regarding the advancements into the national IDs and that kind of thing, right? It says Quebec insurance portal relaunches facial recognition program to organize photo bank. All right, it says Australia amending digital ID bill to ensure Senate passage. It says public sector digital ID contracts for Net Group, Comsco, Fujitsu. All right, another one says phase biometrics for identity proofing draws big investments and cautionary notes. Another one says efforts to provide digital ID for access to government services advance. Another says UK data watchdog to investigate country's troubled immigration IT systems. We have here in America a huge migration crisis. All right, through that they can always open up the conversation of everyone must be identified digitally so we can kill crime. We can fight. We can join us in the war on crime. Right. It says Clearview facial recognition added to U.S. federal procurement marketplace. Okay. It says 2.7 million people in India's Assam state may get digital ID after activation of citizenship law. All right. So there's just a few headlines, of proving to you that, of course, everything is heading very rapidly towards this new digital beast system. And in order to, function in this new system, you're going to have the Mykrochyps. Okay. So I just want to bring that out real quick. Lord willing, you are edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. And, we're going to pay attention and see what's to come next week, the 8th. We'll see what happens. But until next time, keep your eyes out, keep praying, and keep your faith. All right, keep your faith. Until next time, Shalom.